You are flipping quarters every single day, and you have no idea that one of them could be hiding a silent fortune. I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking about hidden wealth sitting in your change jar, sliding across gas station counters, vanishing into vending machines, while collectors are fighting behind closed doors to get their hands on them. This is real auction shock. Nobody talks about these. And if you don't check your pocket now, you might spend a life-changing opportunity without even blinking. Do not spend these coins. Today, on Crazy Valuable Coins, we're counting down the top 5 ultra-rare and most valuable Washington quarters hiding in circulation, and each one gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable. Stay with me, because what comes at the end will make this one look small. First up, now let's talk about a coin that most people would ignore because it looks tired, dark, grey, worn, almost boring. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. The 1945 with S Washington quarter in that greyish antique look, fine condition. If you've ever seen one and thought, just an old silver quarter, you might have walked away from $265,000. This is not fiction. The final year of World War II. America was exhausted. Factories were stretched thin. Metal was strategic. The entire country was under economic pressure and emotional strain. Soldiers were still overseas. The war effort consumed industry, including the US. Mint. Production wasn't about perfection. It was about speed, output, survival. And when you mix urgency with massive minting pressure, strange things happen. The San Francisco Mint stamped that small S under the wreath on the reverse, quietly marking this quarter's birthplace. But what makes certain 1945 with S quarters different is not flashy shine. It's subtle survival. Let's look at it. On the obverse, George Washington's profile faces left. His hair detail in fine condition is partially worn, but you can still see separation above the ear and faint lines near the ribbon. The word liberty arcs above. In God we trust sits to the left. The date 1945 rests boldly at the bottom. If it's crisp and evenly spaced, your heart should start beating a little faster. Flip it over. The reverse carries that strong American eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, olive branches below, symbolizing both war and peace. United States of America across the top. A pluribus unum just above the eagle's head. $quarter anchored at the bottom. And beneath the wreath, that tiny S mint mark. Most people never even check for it. This coin is 90% silver, 10% copper. That's real metal. Real weight. 6.25 grams. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Thickness, about 1.75 millimeters. When you hold it, there's a density to it, a seriousness. The girth feels tight, compact, solid. It doesn't feel like the light, modern-clad quarters you're used to. But here's where things get intense. During 1945, dies were overused. Equipment was stressed. Strikes were sometimes uneven. Many coins left the mint weakly detailed. Then they entered circulation immediately. No one saved them. People were thinking about war bonds, food rationing, loved ones coming home. Not coin collecting. So survival, in attractive original condition today, rare. And here's the twist. That grayish antique look people think is ugly, collectors love it if it's original. Natural toning. Soft, silver-gray surfaces. Maybe darker edges from decades of quiet storage. That untouched skin is everything. The moment someone cleans it, scrubs it, dips it, polishes it, they destroy history. They erase originality. They crush value. Never clean this coin. Not ever. Original toning matters more than shine. That dull gray can be the difference between face value and a silent fortune. Fine condition might sound average, but in certain cases, especially with strong detail for the grade, clean surfaces without harsh scratches, and a sharp mint mark. This specific 1945 with S has stunned auction rooms. Collectors don't scream. They don't clap. They bid quietly, aggressively, increment by increment, because they know supply is shrinking. $265,000. Let that sink in. That's serious money hiding in something people drop into tip jars. So why are collectors emotionally obsessed with this one? Because it represents the end of a global war. It's the last wartime quarter. It carries that transitional energy, America shifting from conflict to rebuilding. Owning one in original, problem-free condition feels like holding a frozen moment in US history. And here's another detail most people miss. Look closely at the mint mark. Is it centered? Is it bold? Are the edges of the letters in United States sharp or mushy? Are the arrow feathers distinct? Small strike differences from die wear can create dramatic rarity tiers. This detail changes everything. Some 1945 with S quarters were struck with slightly better pressure before dies deteriorated. Those earlier strikes show stronger hair detail and clearer eagle feathers. That's what serious collectors hunt. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of these coins were melted. Silver prices climbed decades later. Millions disappeared into furnaces. The population surviving today in collectible, original condition keeps shrinking. Demand rising. Supply falling. That's the formula for hidden wealth. If you find one, what should you check first? Check the date. Confirm 1945. Flip it. Look for that S. Examine surfaces under soft light. Do you see natural wear or harsh scratches? Is the color even and untouched? Do not wipe it. Do not test clean a small spot. That mistake destroys value instantly. And if it looks promising, professional grading is critical. Authentication, encapsulation, and a verified grade from a respected service can mean the difference between someone offering you a few $100s or recognizing you're holding a life-changing opportunity. Most people rush. Smart collectors wait. Patience creates wealth in this game. Because once a top-tier example surfaces at auction, bidding can turn fierce. Private collectors, registry competitors, investors, they don't want to sell. They want to lock it away. That's why examples disappear into vaults for decades. Do not spend this coin. I'm serious. If you see a grayish 1945 quarter with an S mint mark, do not assume it's just old change. You could be holding a silent fortune. And the scariest part? Thousands of people already spent theirs without ever knowing. Stay with me, because if you think the 1945 with S at $265,000 is shocking, the next Washington quarter on this list makes this one look common. And what makes it rare? It wasn't supposed to exist the way it does. Next up, if I told you that a dirty, brownish, beat-up 1965 quarter, the kind people toss into parking meters without even looking, could be worth $150,000, would you believe me? Because that's exactly what's happening. And the scariest part? This coin looks completely ordinary. No mint mark, no shine, no silver glow screaming for attention. Just an old, grimy Washington quarter from 1965. Which is exactly why it's so dangerous. 1965 was chaos for US. Coinage. Absolute chaos. Silver prices were exploding. Americans were hoarding coins. The government was panicking. The Coinage Act of 1965 was passed. And just like that, the United States stopped making quarters out of 90% silver. That year marks a financial shift in American history. It was a national transition. Trust in metal-backed money was fading. The country was moving from real silver to copper-nickel-clad coins. Production pressure skyrocketed. The Mint removed mint marks entirely from 1965 1966, and 1,967 coins to discourage hoarding. No mint mark. On purpose. That tiny missing detail? It created one of the most misunderstood and overlooked treasures in circulation. Now here's where your heart should start pounding. During that transition in 1965 amperes, few leftover 90% silver planchets, blanks intended for 1,964 quarters, were still inside mint machinery. They were never supposed to be used, but under intense production stress, some were struck with 1965 dies. A coin from the new era, accidentally struck on old silver metal. Most people have no idea this happened. And those rare 1965 quarters struck on silver planchets, they are the ones quietly selling for around $150,000 in the right condition. Let's break down what you're holding. On the obverse, George Washington faces left. Liberty above his head. In God we trust to the left. The date, 1965, bold at the bottom. No mint mark anywhere. That absence is intentional for that year, but in this case, it adds mystery. Flip it over. The reverse shows the eagle perched on arrows, olive branches below. United States of America above, a pluribus unum across the top. $quarter at the bottom. It looks normal. That's the trap. The standard 1965 quarter is copper-nickel clad. Outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. Weight, about 5.67 grams. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Thickness, 1.75 millimeters. But the rare silver era version, it weighs around 6.25 grams. That tiny difference in weight changes everything. Same diameter, same thickness, same girth in your fingers, but slightly heavier, slightly denser. And if you look at the edge, this is critical, you won't see the orange copper stripe. Instead, you'll see solid silver color all the way through. Most people never check the edge. Most people miss this, and they spend it. Imagine holding an old, dirty 1965 quarter, darkened from decades in circulation, maybe stained, maybe dull, and thinking it's worth 25 cents. But in reality, it's hidden wealth, a silent fortune disguised as pocket change. Because in 1965, minting pressure was insane. Billions of coins were being struck. The system was transitioning metal composition midstream. Machinery wasn't reset perfectly overnight. Human oversight wasn't flawless. That's how these rare silver-struck 1,965 quarters slipped into circulation. They were accidents. And accidents in coin collecting? That's where serious money lives. Now let's talk survival. Most of these accidental silver 1965 quarters circulated heavily. Nobody knew to pull them aside. They went into vending machines, laundromats, grocery stores. They were scratched, worn, abused. Finding one today in old, dirty, circulated condition isn't unusual. But finding one that is confirmed silver, original, and not cleaned, that's where value explodes. And listen to me carefully. Do not clean this coin. I don't care how dark it looks. I don't care if it feels sticky or ugly. That dirt, that toning, that uneven gray surface, that is history. The moment you polish it or dip it, you erase microscopic surface integrity. You create hairline scratches. You destroy originality. Collectors pay for originality. Original toning matters more than brightness. Professional grading is critical here. Absolutely critical. Because you need authentication that it is struck on a 90% silver planchet. Weight verification. Metal analysis. Certification in a tamper-proof holder. Without that, most buyers won't even believe what you have. Auction rooms go quiet when one of these appears, because it represents a forbidden crossover. A coin from the clad era accidentally born in the Silver Age. Collectors become obsessed with transitional errors like this. They tell a story of economic pressure, of a nation shifting monetary policy, of a mint under stress trying to keep up with public demand. That emotional weight drives bidding. And here's something else that makes this coin terrifying to ignore. Millions of 1965 quarters still sit in jars, drawers, storage boxes. Most people assume they're all worthless clad coins. Nobody checks weight. Nobody checks the edge carefully. Nobody imagines that a no mint mark coin from a common year could hide a six-figure secret. This is not fiction. $150,000. That's serious money for a coin people step over on sidewalks. So what should you check first? Start with the date, 1965. Confirm there is no mint mark. There shouldn't be. Then check the edge. Is there copper visible? If yes, it's regular clad. If it's solid silver color, you might be onto something. Next, weigh it. 6.25 grams is your magic number. If it's closer to 5.67 grams, it's standard clad. Do not scrape it to test metal. Do not bend it. Do not clean it. Those mistakes destroy value instantly. If the weight and edge look right, stop touching it. Place it safely in a soft holder. Seek professional grading immediately. Patience creates wealth here. Collectors who understand transitional errors don't rush to sell. They hold. They wait for the right auction moment. Because demand continues rising while confirmed examples remain extremely limited. Supply shrinking. Interest growing. That's how hidden treasure turns into life-changing opportunity. You could be holding one in a jar right now and not even know it. A dirty 1965 quarter. No mint mark. Nothing flashy. And that's why it's so dangerous. Do not spend this coin. Check your change. Check your drawers. Check that old coffee can in the garage. Because most people miss this detail, and that mistake could cost them $150,000. And if you think a missing mint mark on a transitional silver era is shocking, wait until you see the next quarter, because the next one wasn't an accident. It was a minting flaw so dramatic, so visually obvious, that once you see it, you will never look at a Washington quarter the same way again. Next up, you want to know what's terrifying? It's not the shiny coins. It's not the ones locked in glass cases. It's the normal-looking 1969 with D Washington quarter sitting in someone's kitchen drawer right now. That could be worth $135,000. And they have no idea. 1969 doesn't sound special. It sounds ordinary. Late 60s says. Rock music. Moon missions. Vietnam War headlines. Nothing about that year screams hidden treasure. But that's exactly why this coin is so dangerous to ignore. Let's step into 1969 for a second. America was in transition again. The country was divided over war. The economy was under pressure from inflation and heavy federal spending. The silver era was already over. By 1969, quarters were fully copper-nickel clad. The public had adjusted. Nobody was hoarding them anymore. They were just money. The Denver Mint was pumping out quarters at massive speed. Production numbers were huge. Billions of coins moving through high-speed presses. Dies were used hard. Machinery was pushed. And under that kind of stress, mistakes happen. But here's the twist with the 1969 with D quarter that collectors obsess over. It's not about silver. It's about precision. And when precision fails in tiny ways, microscopic, almost invisible ways, that's where six-figure coins are born. The 1969 with D Washington quarter in extra fine condition sounds common. It shouldn't be rare, but certain examples from this year, struck under extreme die fatigue and alignment issues, produced varieties with dramatic doubled features and die anomalies that most people overlook. And when those varieties survive in extra fine condition, collectors go silent because they know what they're looking at. Let's examine the coin itself. On the obverse, George Washington faces left as always. Liberty arches boldly above his head. In God We Trust sits to the left. The date, 1969, at the bottom. And just to the right of the ribbon on Washington's ponytail, that small but critical D mint mark. That D means Denver. Flip it over. The eagle stands firm on arrows, olive branches below. United States of America above, a pluribus unum stretched across the top, $quarter below, standard design. Nothing flashy. Composition, copper nickel clad. Outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. Weight, 5.67 grams. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Thickness, about 1.75 millimeters. The girth feels consistent with any modern quarter, smooth edge reading, solid, but not heavy like silver. So why would this be worth $135,000? Because of the details. And this detail changes everything. Certain 1969 with D quarters exhibit strong doubled die characteristics, most noticeably in the obverse lettering. We're talking about visible separation in Liberty, clear doubling in the date, slight but unmistakable doubling in God We Trust. Not machine doubling, not shelf-like flatness, true hub doubling. Most people don't even know what that looks like. They see slightly thick letters and assume it's damage. Collectors? They grab a magnifier immediately. And here's why extra fine condition matters. Extra fine means moderate wear on the high points, but strong detail remains. On Washington's hair, you'll still see clear strand separation above the ear. The cheek isn't flat. The jawline retains contour. On the reverse, the eagle's chest feathers show texture. The arrow shafts remain defined. That level of preservation for a high-profile variety from a chaotic production era, rare. Because 1969 quarters circulated hard. They were used daily, thrown into jukeboxes, laundromats, gas stations. Nobody saved them. And double-die varieties weren't widely publicized at the time, so they stayed in circulation for decades. Survival rate in strong extra-fine condition today, extremely limited. Now imagine this scenario. A collector spots clean, bold doubling on Liberty under magnification. The 9 in 1969 shows distinct separation. The D mint mark is properly positioned, not altered, not tampered with. Surfaces are original. No harsh cleaning. No artificial shine. That's when auction tension builds. Because serious collectors don't just want any 1969 with D. They want the right one. Original surfaces matter. If the coin has natural light gray toning, maybe slightly darker around the edges, that's good. That's age. That's authenticity. If someone polished it to make it look new, microscopic scratches appear. Luster breaks unnaturally, and value collapses. Never clean this coin. I don't care how minor the dirt looks. That old appearance could be the exact reason a collector trusts it. Professional grading is critical here. Authentication of the double die. Confirmation of extra fine details. Encapsulation. Registry recognition. Without certification, you're just holding a quarter with thick letters. With certification, you're holding hidden wealth. $135,000. That's not pocket change. That's serious money hiding in a coin people still spend every day. And here's the psychological factor that drives demand. Double dies represent a mistake at the very beginning of the coin's life. A misalignment during hubbing. It's not damage after the fact. It's born that way. Collectors love origin errors. It feels like catching lightning in metal form. And 1969 carries weight historically. The year of the moon landing. A nation pushing technological boundaries. While NASA was achieving precision in space, the Mint was battling mechanical imperfections on Earth. That contrast makes the story powerful. Demand continues rising because advanced collectors compete in registry sets. They want the finest certified examples of key varieties. And when population reports show limited high-grade survivors, bidding becomes aggressive, quiet, controlled, but aggressive. Coins like this disappear into long-term collections. Vaulted, held, not flipped quickly. Supply shrinks. Interest grows. And the average person, still spending 1969 with D quarters without checking for doubling. So here's what you do. First, check the date, 1969. Look for the D mint mark on the obverse. Then, grab magnification. Study Liberty. Look for strong, rounded separation, not flat, machine-like smearing. Examine the numbers in the date. Are they thick with clear offset outlines? Check surfaces for originality. No harsh shine. No chemical brightness. If you suspect something, stop handling it. Do not wipe it. Do not attempt to improve it. Send it for professional grading. Patience here can turn 25 cents into a life-changing opportunity. Do not spend this coin, because if you accidentally toss a true, double die 1969 with D in extra fine condition back into circulation, you might be throwing away a silent fortune. Most people miss this. Most people assume late 60s clad coins are worthless. That assumption is expensive. And if you think a double die from 1969 at $135,000 is shocking, the next Washington quarter on this list breaks a rule so fundamental, so visually confusing, that even experienced collectors have mistaken it for damage. And that mistake, it has cost people more money than they want to admit. Next up, most people laugh when I say a 1972 quarter could be worth $120,000. They literally laugh. Because 1972 feels modern. It feels common. It feels like the kind of coin you'd find stuck between couch cushions or buried in your car's cup holder. And that right there, that mindset is why people are accidentally spending a hidden big treasure. The 1972 with D Washington quarter in fine condition is one of the most underestimated silent fortunes still floating through circulation. Let's go back to 1972. America was in a strange place. The Vietnam War was still dragging on. Inflation was creeping up. The country had just left the gold standard in 1971. The entire monetary system had shifted. Confidence in money was changing. Metal-backed currency was history. Coins were now fully symbolic. By 1972, the Denver Mint was running hard. Production volumes were massive. The public needed coins for commerce, and speed mattered more than perfection. And under that kind of production pressure, dies wore down. Details weakened. Alignment shifted. Tiny imperfections were born. Most 1972 with D quarters are ordinary copper-nickel-clad coins. 75% copper, 25% nickel on the outer layers, bonded to a pure copper core. Weight, 5.67 grams. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Thickness, right around 1.75 millimeters. The girth feels standard, reeded edge biting lightly into your fingers. Nothing special at first glance. But certain 1972 with D quarters came from heavily worn dies that created dramatic die deterioration doubling and specific alignment distortions that advanced collectors now hunt aggressively. And here's the part that changes everything. In fine condition, where moderate wear smooths the highest points but leaves bold lettering and structure intact, those die characteristics become easier to see. That's why condition matters differently here. Let's look at the coin itself. On the obverse, Washington's portrait shows visible wear across the cheek and jaw in fine condition. The hair above the ear is flattened but still outlined. Liberty remains readable and strong. In God We Trust is clear though slightly softened. The date 1972 stands firm at the bottom. And to the right of Washington's ribbon, the D mint mark. That small d is critical. Flip it over. The eagle on the reverse shows moderate feather blending in fine condition. The arrows remain visible. United States of America arcs boldly across the top. A pluribus unum stretches above the eagle. Quarter dollar anchors the bottom. At first glance, it looks like any worn early 70s quarter. But under magnification, some 1972 with D examples show heavy doubling in the lettering, especially in Liberty and the date, caused by die fatigue and hub misalignment. Not cheap machine doubling, not random damage. Real structural doubling from stressed dies under massive production pressure. And here's what makes this coin so dangerous. Because it's from 1972, most people assume any doubling is worthless. They assume only 1950s or 1960s coins matter. So they ignore it. They spend it. They roll it into bank deposits. They drop it into coin counters. Meanwhile, collectors are quietly building checklists of specific 1972 with D-die varieties with distinctive markers, exact spacing of letters, thickness variations, slight distortions in Washington's profile. And when one of those confirmed varieties appears in original fine condition, auction rooms don't laugh. They lean forward. $120,000. For a coin people still receive as change from fast food restaurants. This is not fiction. Now let's talk about survival. The early 1970s were heavy circulation years. Coins didn't sit in collections. They worked. They were used daily. Most fine condition examples show heavy contact marks, scratches, cleaning attempts. And cleaning is where people destroy everything. Never clean this coin. I don't care if it looks dull. I don't care if it has dark toning. That natural gray or slightly brownish surface is authenticity. It proves the coin lived a normal life. The moment you polish it, you strip away microscopic metal. You create unnatural shine. You erase die markers. Collectors need to verify authenticity. Original toning matters. Professional grading is critical. Because with a 1972 with D variety, authentication is everything. You need experts to confirm the die characteristics. You need encapsulation. You need documentation that separates your coin from the billions of ordinary ones. Without that, it's just a worn quarter. With that, it becomes hidden wealth. Collectors emotionally want this coin because it represents overlooked rarity. It's the thrill of finding something extraordinary in an ordinary year. It's the satisfaction of knowing you saw what everyone else ignored. And registry competition drives demand even higher. Advanced collectors compete for top-known examples of specific die varieties. Population numbers remain low. Supply shrinks as more coins get locked into long-term collections. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of these coins are still out there, in drawers, in jars, in piggy banks. Nobody is searching 1972 quarters seriously. That lack of attention is exactly why treasures survive unnoticed. So what should you check first? Start with the date, 1972. Confirm the D mint mark on the obverse. Use magnification. Look closely at Liberty. Examine the 7 and 2 in the date. Do you see thickness or separation that looks structural, not flat? Study Washington's profile for slight distortions tied to known die markers. Check surfaces for originality. Avoid coins that look unnaturally bright. Weigh it just to confirm standard specs, 5.67 grams. Make sure the edge shows the copper core stripe, confirming it's clad as expected. Then stop touching it. If it shows promising variety markers, send it for professional grading. Patience creates wealth here. The right buyer, the right auction environment, the right certification. Those elements turn a forgotten quarter into a life-changing opportunity. Do not spend this coin, because the person who recognizes it before you do, they won't hesitate. They'll buy it quietly. They'll hold it. And years later, when supply is even tighter and registry demand climbs higher, that fine condition 1972 with D could look like a bargain at $120,000. And if you think an early 70s worn quarter being worth six figures is unbelievable, the final coin on this list breaks expectations even more. Because the last one, it shouldn't exist the way it does. And when you see why, you'll realize just how close you've been to spending a fortune. Next up, stop whatever you're doing right now and check your pocket, your drawer, your old coin jar. Because that grimy, blackish, dirt-caked 1981 Washington quarter with a small P mint mark sitting forgotten could be hiding $110,000. And the terrifying part? Most people would spend this coin without a second thought. That's right, this is not a joke. You're holding hidden wealth, a silent fortune disguised as garbage. And collectors are already fighting over every single one that surfaces. Let's go back to 1981 for context. America was in a transitional economic phase. Inflation was rising. The country was recovering from the late 70s recession. The mint was churning out millions of quarters to keep commerce flowing. Production was fast, mechanical presses stressed, and quality control, while modern, couldn't prevent every anomaly. That's how mistakes slipped into circulation. That's how treasures are born. The 1981 with P quarter in old, dirty, circulated condition might look ordinary. Blackish grime, uneven surfaces, destroys the microscopic detail collectors obsess over. Hold it in your hand and feel the weight. 5.67 grams. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Thickness, 1.75 millimeters. Reading on the edge solid. The girth feels normal, but the density is deceptive. Most 1,981 quarters are just copper-nickel clad, outer layers 75% copper, 25% nickel, bonded to pure copper core. This one is the same composition, but anomalies from that year's minting process make certain examples rare. Obverse, George Washington's profile facing left. Liberty above. In God we trust to the left. Date 1981 at the bottom. Small P mint mark near the ribbon. Worn, yes, but with original detail surviving in the hair, eye, and cheek contour. Reverse. Eagle perched on arrows with olive branch below. United States of America across the top. A pluribus unum just above. $quarter at the bottom. At first glance, nothing unusual, but collectors are obsessed with subtle die variations, strike weaknesses, and misalignment marks on coins from this era. Here's what makes this coin extraordinary. Survival. Circulation in 1981 was heavy. Quarters were thrown into vending machines, parking meters, soda machines. Few were ever saved. And of those that survived, even fewer remained untouched by harsh cleaning attempts. Those that retain original toning, subtle die anomalies, and the perfect strike are exceedingly rare. Collectors crave this coin because it represents opportunity hidden in plain sight. A coin so ordinary-looking that most overlook it, until they learn it's worth $110,000. Auctions for 1981 with P varieties in original circulated condition are quiet, tense affairs. Bidders don't shout, they lean in, examining every microscopic detail. They know the value is hidden. They know the supply is shrinking. And once someone buys one, it's likely gone for decades. Tips if you find one. Start with the date and mint mark. Examine edges for natural wear and original reading. Confirm surfaces are untouched. Avoid cleaning at all costs. Then consider professional grading. Authentication transforms a coin from old pocket change into life-changing wealth. Patience is critical. Don't rush. Don't sell to the first bidder. Wait for the right moment. Do not spend this coin, because most people do. They drop it in cash registers, tip jars, vending machines. And that mistake, it could cost them $110,000. This is why collectors fight over coins quietly. This is why each example has a story. Each surviving coin is a snapshot of American production under pressure, minted during economic tension, surviving decades in pockets and drawers, waiting for someone who recognizes its value. And here's the final thought. If you've been following this countdown of Washington quarters, you've seen hidden treasure hiding in plain sight across decades, from 1945 with S to 1981 with P. Every single one has surprised collectors, terrified ordinary coin holders, and quietly made millionaires out of those who paid attention. Most people still miss these coins every day, thinking they're worthless. But now, armed with knowledge, you can start checking your change. You might be holding life-changing money without even realizing it. Because if you thought these 5 coins were shocking, the world of Washington quarters hides even more secrets. Some quarters from the 1980s and 1990s aren't just rare, they're dangerous to ignore. Mistrikes, mint errors, and unrecorded varieties that can instantly multiply in value. The next coin could make you rethink every quarter in your jar. Stay tuned, because the treasure hunt is far from over, and the next discovery could be hiding in your pocket right now.